Welcome to Crack-A-Pack. My name is Andrew. Today we're opening The Brothers War. Let's get cracking. Our first card today is a wild card token. Then we have a plains for our land. Then our retroframe artifact is Sword of the Meek, which for 2 is an artifact equipment that reads, equipped creature gets +1/+2, equipped for 2. Whenever a 1/1 creature enters a battlefield under your control, you may return Sword of the Meek from your graveyard to the battlefield, then attach it to that creature. So this card is great in like white weenies or tokens decks where you are just trying to get a lot of 1/1s or small bodies on the battlefield, because then every time they do enter the battlefield, this can come back and attach, and you now have a 2/3 instead of that 1/1. So it makes it just a little bit tougher, makes it a little bit more impactful, and it gives your opponent something to actually kind of worry about a little bit. And the fact that it just keeps re-equipping for free is what really, really sells this. Sure, you'll cast it. I mean, maybe you don't. Maybe this accidentally gets milled, or you have a way that you are getting it into the graveyard beforehand, and then it just starts auto-equipping every time you drop a 1/1. That really makes this actually fantastic. So I like it. I know it's been around for a long time. There's a lot of decks that already have this sorted out. But let me know in the comments below, where's your favorite place you've seen Sword of the Meek? Where was it that you ran it, or you ran into it? What was the interaction you had? Let me know in the comments below. Next we have Argoth, Sanctum of Nature, which is a land that reads, Argoth, Sanctum of Nature enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a legendary green creature. It taps for green. You can also spend 2 green and tap it to create a 2/2 bear creature token, then mill 3 cards, activate only as a sorcery. It also has the ability that it melds with Titania, Voice of Gaia, which on the back is the bottom half of that meld, which is a legendary creature elemental avatar with vigilance, reach, trample, haste. Titania, Gaia, Incarnate's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. When it enters the battlefield, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then for 3 and a green, you can put 4 +1/+1 counters on a target land you control. It becomes a 0/0 elemental creature token with haste. It is still a land. Alright, so starting with the land, and we'll get to the meld, because we do have Titania, Voice of Gaia as of yesterday or the day before. So as a land, okay, it comes in tapped unless you have a legendary green creature like Titania, Voice of Gaia. It taps for green, as one would expect from a Sanctum of Nature. That sounds very green-like. Creating a 2/2 bear and milling 3 cards for 4 mana is not a great trade, but really I don't think that that's what you would use this for at all. I think really the only place I see this being played is in the meld deck, where you're trying to get this huge creature. Since it is its power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control, and it returns every land you control from your graveyard to the battlefield, you want ways to mill yourself. You want ways of throwing lands from your hand to the graveyard, like all the channel lands or the cycle lands. You want to throw as many as you can into the graveyard, so then when you meld this, you get all of them onto the battlefield. Sure, they're all tapped, but it is then just immediately racking up the power and toughness on Titania, Gaia, Incarnate. Then this 3 and a green for 4 1/1 counters on a target land, and turning into an elemental creature with haste. That's a nice little combat trick, or a little ambush, sort of. I mean, obviously it's on the card, so it's obvious to your opponent that you can do it, but it's not necessarily something that they will be taking into account when they are getting ready to do their blocker math, right? If you're going to do that and maybe do that 2 or 3 times, and you now have 2 4/4s, or maybe 3 or even 4 4/4s out of nowhere because you just had this surge of land on your last turn when this entered, and now you're able to throw a whole bunch of creatures on the board that are still lands. That's huge. That is hard to account for. So similar to Titania Voice of Gaia, do not find Argoth Sanctum of Nature that impactful on its front side. Only on its meld side do I really see a lot of benefit to it. But I think that's also okay. Like, when you have both, that's where you want to use them. You don't want to just be like, oh, I'm going to include Argoth Sanctum of Nature in my random green deck or in my Simic deck just because I need another land. No, I'll throw a forest in because at least then it is not going to come in tapped. But the meld makes this very, very usable. But again, it's only for the meld. So on its own, mediocre. With its meld partner, this is fantastic. Then we have Yotian Dissident, Disciple of Gix, Arms Race, Combat Courier, Burrowing Razormaw, Urza's Rebuff, Sibling Rivalry, Ravenous Gigamole, Killzone Acrobat, Gnarlroot Pallbearer, Military Discipline, and Perimeter Patrol to round out the pack. And that's all for today. Thank you for cracking along with me. Be sure to check back tomorrow to crack open another pack.